David, I was very excited to see you here on the Hangout because I've admired your work now for quite some time, so I just outed myself there as a fangirl. But could you talk to us just briefly about the concept of visitors and residents? I use this a lot with my students. I find it's very helpful. So what is the difference between a digital resident and a digital visitor, and how might you move from one to the other?
Yeah, okay. Well, this is an idea that originally was a partial reaction to Prensky's idea of digital immigrants and digital natives, which was kind of predicated on the idea that if you're a bit older, you'd never get the technology quite as well as the kids, which just didn't seem to be true. And the point about visitor and residence as an idea is it just helps us to think about how we engage online. So instead of necessarily getting caught up with, oh, there's this application that does this, or this app, or there's this way of doing this, and talking about functionality, we're actually talking about our motivation to engage. So it's a continuum of motivations to engage, if you like, so that it's not two people. And the quickest way to explain it is that at one end of that continuum, when you're engaging in visitor mode, you're kind of thinking as the web as almost like an untidy toolbox. So you work out what you want to achieve, and you go online and you pick the tool that you think is going to work for you. You use it, and then you put it back, close the lid, and come away again. So there's, this is what Andrew was talking about. Sometimes you actually have to sort of manage your time to give you the space to do that. And you don't leave a social trace. This is the point. At the resident end of the continuum, you're thinking about the web really more like a series of places or spaces, and you're living out part of your life, whether that's professional or personal, online. So that's where you're going to go online to express opinions, to get involved in chat, in discourse. It's likely to take place in social media. And that is certainly one of the territories that I think is really intriguing when we talk about a successful digital academic, is to what extent do we feel the need to be visible, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of that. So obviously the advantage is that you might end up with global visibility, the opportunity to form networks, to collaborate, etc., etc. The disadvantage is you might feel like you're working 24/7. Depending on how that goes. So that's the spectrum of the modes of engagement. We've got, I've developed with colleagues a sort of mapping format where people can actually sit down and sort of map their engagement online across that visitor-resident continuum, which people find quite a useful reflective process, because it's actually quite difficult. The problem is all of this is virtual, and all of us kind of hold a very loose map of the way that we engage online. It's actually quite useful to sit down and draw that out and see how other people are engaging as well. So that's what that is in a nutshell as an idea. It's just a very simple way of coming to an understanding of that very broad landscape of possibilities that we have, that go from Googling and reading a bit of Wikipedia all the way through to making a YouTube video, tweeting about it, blogging, and everything else.